So one of the questions you'll have in your homework is working with what's called the coefficient of variation. That's when you're working with two different data sets. So in our example, we're working with, I believe it's baseball players. We have heights and ages. What I want to show you is how we can determine the coefficient of variation of these two data sets by using Excel. It can be cumbersome to put data into uh, our TI-84. And when there's this little icon to the right of our table, we can use it. By clicking on this, we can open our data into Excel. I believe this question here, it said all pictures. So I believe this is going to be a population example. So that's how we have to divide the standard deviation by the mean. And then we have to convert that to a percent by multiplying by 100%. So what I'm going to do is export this, if you will, to Excel and show you how we can actually find the standard deviation and the mean uh, in Excel. So I went on and did this and got it into Excel. So we should have a little spreadsheet here. We're not going to make it real pretty. We're just going to kind of just do the math here. So what we can do is in Excel, there are formulas. So what I also want to do is click a spot here to put my answers. So for the heights, I'm going to click on box 15 here. So if I go to formulas, it should put the answers and stuff here in box 15. So what on mine, if I hit this more functions, there gives me the statistical thing. So for statistical, if we scroll down to standard deviation population, I believe it is. This looks like it is right here, standard deviation population. If I click on that, what it now wants is a range. So if I drag from A2 to A13, if I drag to that field, it'll do the standard deviation for me. It's A2 to A13 looks correct. So if I click OK, it'll determine the standard deviation for me. Now, if I want to do the mean, I can click on box 16. If I go to more functions, go to statistical, average is the same thing as mean. If I click on average, again, if I do that same field of data, A2 to A13, if I click OK, it'll do that. Now, to do the coefficient of variation, what I have to do is divide these I have to divide the population standard deviation by the mean, the population mean, and that'll give me the coefficient of variation. So here, what I can do is put an equal sign. And what I can do is type in A15. So it's going to pull out the data from A15. Then use the slash bar on your keyboard, divide, and I will put A16 here for pull the data from A16. And it'll actually divide those two pieces of data, and that'll give me the coefficient of variation. So again, they want us to change this to percent, but again, to change it to percent, all I have to do is move the decimal two places to the left. I'm sorry, two places to the left. So it's going to be like 3.3. But they also want us to round to the tenths place. So since there's a 5 after this 3, this should turn into like 3.4% would be our answer. So if I type that into my my lab, it should give me the coefficient of variation for the heights. Similarly, I could do that with the ages. So if I go over here, click a box, if I go to more functions, statistical, to find the standard deviation of a population, standard deviation population, again, I want to go from like B2 to B13. And then if I hit OK, it'll actually do the standard deviation for me. Then if I click down here into this box 16, if I go to more functions, statistical, I can find the mean by using average. I can then go B2 to B13. B2, B3. If I click OK, it'll do that. And then if I want to do the coefficient of variation, I hit equals, and then I can do a calculation by doing B15 slash B16, and then click enter or click off of it. And that gives me the coefficient of variation. So it's going to be 1, 2, it's going to be like 10.54 or 10.5% would be the coefficient of variation for that. So again, you may find using Excel a little quicker than typing that into the TI-84 when you have that option to export into Excel.